welcome back to Ashar Books. Today I'm going to do my July Part 2 wrap-up. It's the last day of the month, so I figured I'd go ahead and do it today. Please excuse my hair. This is post-work hair and we're just going to all have to live with it. So the first book I read was A Notorious Vow by Joanna Shupe. I actually read this earlier in July and just completely forgot to talk about it last time, which is kind of crazy because I actually loved this book and it was one of my favorites of the month. So this is part of her 400 series, which takes place in New York during the Gilded Age. So I think this is like 1890 if I remember correctly. I am just so fascinated with that era. I've talked about that a lot lately and I'm just so intrigued. So this story I think is my favorite in the series so far. It is about our characters Oliver and Christina, trying to make sure I got the names right. So Christina is a lady over from England. Her parents brought her over here because they are horrible human beings. And aside from that, have also spent all of their money. So it's one of those like title with no money situations. So they want her to marry someone who's really rich in New York. But it doesn't all go according to plan when her parents decide to marry her off to this horrible, also like 65-year-old man. What I really liked about her is I just could relate to her a lot. She doesn't like society very much. She doesn't do well in crowds. She would much rather just stay home or go in a garden or learn something. So I just really liked her character and I really could empathize with her. So the story starts off with her kind of wandering around the garden in the house next door to where she's staying, and then happens to be Oliver's house. And they run into each other when his dog, who's a big dog, like knocks her over, and that's like the meet cute part. I loved Oliver. He was such a different character. So he, we find out, is very wealthy, but also pretty much a recluse because Oliver lost his hearing when he was I think he was about 10 or 12. And so obviously at this time, any kind of disability was pretty much looked at like you're crazy. So he's kind of just secluded himself. You know, he had so much rejection after that, and it was such an interesting part of the story to hear about his hearing loss and how he kind of communicates. He's also like an inventor and a scientist, and he's working on this hearing aid, and that was just a really different character and a really different hero. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It's something that was really unique and I was really happy to read it. So the next 3 books I read, I can't really say much about, but I did read books 4, 5, and 6 in the Kate Daniel series. That was Magic Bleeds, Magic Slays, and Magic Rises. So like I said, that's book 4, 5, and 6 in Kate Daniels by Ilona Andrews. Yeah, I feel like you just can't really say much because it's the middle of a series other than I thoroughly enjoyed these. Book 4 was, yes, like finally it was, you know, when all the things start happening that you want to happen. Like book 4 was that for me. I also really liked book 6. I feel like that one is a bit of a, from what I've seen, a bit of a like divided thing. You either really like it or you really don't. So I think I was on the side of like, but let me know if you guys would be interested in a video about the Kate Daniels series, like after I finish, and it could have like spoilers and stuff, just with like thoughts or favorite characters, favorite books, all that jazz. I know it's an older series, so if you're not a big deal. I just feel like I can't really say much in these videos because it would just give away the entire plot. The next book I read was Meet Cute by Helena Hunting. This is the book club pick for the Lovely Ladies book club that I'm co-hosting with a couple of other ladies. So the live show for this is going to be this Saturday, August 3rd, and it's going to be on Averie's channel from Averie Loves Books. I'll link her channel down below, so you can definitely go over there and if you want to join. So it's going to be at 7 Central Time or 8 Eastern Time. And so if you've read the book and you want to chat about it, or you just want some spoilers and want to hear us talk about it, definitely come check it out then. But briefly, I did really enjoy this. I know some people said they thought the cover was a little like misleading because it's a pretty cutesy cover and it's not really necessarily a rom-com. There definitely is some kind of heavier subject matter dealt with, but I didn't really mind. I really liked the subject matter that they dealt with. and I will say the cover's a little misleading, but it's still cute. But I really enjoyed this. It follows Kaylin and Dax, who meet each other in law school, and he is a past child star, and so she had a massive crush on him from this TV show when she was younger, and so that just creates hilarity in grad school, and they kind of become like frenemies almost, like always debating each other. And then the story starts off again, I think it's like 5 or 8 years later, and you kind of see what happens after that. There's also a really big like life-altering event that happens for Dax really early on in the book that kind of defines the book. The only reason, so I did give this 4 stars instead of 5. The only reason I took a star off was because one of the major like conflicts in the story, I kind of saw coming, and it was a little predictable for me. So I did take a star off for that, but otherwise a super enjoyable read. So then I read 3 books by the same author. I went on a little bit of a like binge. The first one was Storm by Carrie Cole. So all of the 3 books are by Carrie Cole, which I have read before, but for some reason I never read this one, which this is actually her first book, which is book 1 in the Ashes and Embers trilogy? No. Quartet. So we find out Storm is a rock star, but I will say this doesn't really have to do with like bands or music that much. I mean, it's definitely part of his personality, but it's not like what I'd call a like rock star romance, if that makes sense. So basically in the beginning of this book, our main characters, Storm and Evie, get caught in this blizzard, and Evie's driving to a work event and she gets caught in this blizzard and can't, like her car's stuck. And so Storm comes to save her, but then he gets stuck in his car. So now they're both stuck in his truck for like 48 hours until the plow comes. And obviously, you know I love a good forced proximity. It creates the best chemistry, right? They kind of form a friendship from that. But Evie has a boyfriend, and here we come to the one problem I had with this book. I did really enjoy this book, but I did give it 4 stars because I don't want to give anything away, but Evie has a boyfriend, and I felt like you knew she was going to end up with Storm, and I thought the author kind of dragged that part of the relationship out too much. I felt like she needed to break up with her boyfriend far sooner than she did, because to me there were definitely a little bit of cheating going on, and it was something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Having said that, I love the characters in the storyline so much. It really introduces you to this family of Ashes and Embers, like the rock band. Some of them are brothers, so I loved it. It's just, I wish that had been kind of like, that part of the story was done and over with a lot sooner. So then I read Talon, which is actually book 4 in the Ashes and Embers quartet by Carrie Cole, because we all know I cannot read anything in the correct order. But no, the plot line of this one just really intrigued me, so I kind of skipped ahead and I figured I'd go back to the other 2. So in Talon, it has to do with a like psychology experiment where Talon, who's also in the band, and our other main character, Asia, basically are talked into by their friends and family of doing this psychology experiment where they fill out all these questions. It's really detail oriented, and this team of psychologists and like love coaches find them the perfect like wife or husband. And so the experiment is they find them this person, have no idea who they are, they get married, like the day they meet they get married, and then they have to stay married for 6 months, and if they want to stay married after that, great, that's been successful, and if they don't, then they get like $50,000. So I just loved this because it's not like a reality show, it's like an actual like scientific experiment. I just thought that sounded really cool. And I loved our main characters of Talon and Asia. It's funny because basically the storyline is they meet and they are nothing like what they asked for on the paper. You know, she asked for like clean cut office guy, and he gets Talon, who's in a rock band, has tattoos, long hair, like curses, that kind of stuff. And then he asks for someone who loves to travel and, you know, is like a tall blonde. And you have Asia, who's never been on a plane because she's terrified of them and is a small petite brunette. So I just really loved it. I gave this one 5 stars, and I really am enjoying this series. So then I did do a reread of Torn by Carrie Cole. This is not in the Ashes and Embers trilogy. So Torn actually is part of her other series, which is, I cannot remember right now. Oh, it's Devil's Wolves. But I've read Torn before, and I just wanted to reread it. Torn is an interesting book, and there's a lot of mixed feelings on this book. I personally do enjoy it. This basically is a pretty like taboo thing. So we have Kenzie and Torrin, and Torrin is Kenzie's dad's best friend. So obviously that causes a lot of problems. And I will say the age gap isn't that bad because Kenzie's parents had her when they were like 15 or 16. So he's not that much older. It's not that. It's more like she has seen him as like an uncle kind of thing for a while. So obviously, I don't know. I think you have to go into this book and just make your own mind up. I know some people really haven't liked it and some people have loved it. I really, really enjoy it just because I love the characters, and I thought the way the author handled it was really well done, and it was just so addicting to read. Like the angst that you like want these people together, but then you're like, no, I don't, but do you want them together? It's just, you can't stop reading it. So I really enjoyed it, and I would say, you know, if you're into that kind of thing, like especially if you've read like Birthday Girl or something like that by Penelope Douglas, and you want something that to me I thought had a similar kind of thing going on, then maybe give this one a try. The last one I want to talk about is Writing Hard by J.L. Shepherd, which is it's part of a series. So this is part of the Hell Writers Motorcycle Club series, and I was actually sent this book by the author in exchange for a review, so thank you very much. This book was I really enjoyed this one. So to me, this was an MC book, but it wasn't like an MC book, if that makes any sense to anybody. So to me, sometimes I don't like reading some motorcycle club books. I think they're a little much for me. There's a lot of cursing, there's a lot of drinking, there's a lot of like, you know, people sleeping with other people, and I don't always love it, but what I do love is the like family aspect of the club, and that's what this one had to me, and I really enjoyed it. So our two main characters are Dodge and Lex is a teacher, and she has had really bad luck with men, and what I love about her is she's basically decided that she is going to accomplish all of her life goals with or without a man by her side. So she's moved to a new town, she bought her cute little house that she wanted, and she's like, you know what, I want children, I'm gonna have children whether I'm with a guy or not, you know, however I make that happen. And so of course, when she says that, she meets the perfect guy. We have Dodge, who is in the MC club. He works at the as a mechanic that the club owns, but the club is pretty clean. You know, they have like a legitimate business for the most part. They're just a little rough around the edges. So Dodge has a son named Cullen who is 4 from a previous relationship, and he's like a really big part of the story. So if you like single parent type romances or kids in books, definitely check this one out. I thought it was really well done because Cullen definitely has a lot of kind of like trauma that he's been through that was part of like the past relationship with his ex-wife. So I really enjoyed it. The way that Lex really takes on Cullen was adorable, and I just really enjoyed it. There's also a bit of a mystery going on in this because basically someone keeps kind of like doing taunting things to Lex since they're trying to figure out like who's doing what. So I really enjoy this. I liked the characters. I liked the aspect of her kind of trying to be independent and things like that. The only reason I gave this one 4 stars instead of 5 was I thought it could have been wrapped up a lot faster, and I thought a little bit of it dragged. So some of the plot points I liked, but I thought they could have just kind of been happening a little bit faster, and we didn't need maybe as much detail as we got. So because of that, and also the fact that like with the mystery thing, like I kind of knew who was doing it from the beginning. So to me, that part, while interesting, could have almost been like taken out. But like I said, I really did enjoy this book. And if you're looking for a new like MC motorcycle romance or something like a single parent or something like that, I definitely would recommend it. Alright guys, so those are all the books I read for the month of July. Let me know what you guys are reading. I'd love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!